Hey everybody, welcome back to the garage. Today we have a little unscheduled stop, mostly because I may have done something stupid, or actually said something stupid, within earshot of my car. Let me explain. So I was actually doing something stupid with another car. Little teaser, that's coming soon. And in the process of dealing with that, my friend asked me, how is the Pearl S4 doing? How's it running? And I'm like, well, it's been great. It's, pretty much bulletproof. I rarely, if ever, have any issues with these. I mean, not significant. It pretty much always gets me home. And, busy day yesterday, so I'm rushing just to grab lunch, and I'm in a drive-thru, when all of a sudden the check engine light comes on, blinks at me awkwardly, goes off, kind of comes on, and then the car just shuts off. Okay, well, that's new. Now, here I am in a car that just shut off in a drive-thru, and I'm, of course, gonna restart this, and I'm just praying that it starts, because I don't want to be the guy that has to awkwardly push his Audi through the drive-thru, pay for your food, and then push the carcass out into the parking lot, have lunch, and figure out what's wrong with your car. I mean, I know you B5 guys are out there like, yeah, that happens. But for us C4 guys, that's kind of not a normal thing. Just kidding. So, anyhow, my only hint is that I noticed in the last couple of days, my idle, every once in a while, would kind of bump up and creep up. And so that tells me, well, it's idle stabilizer valve related, perhaps. It could be sticking a little bit, and it's, I call it ghost idle. So like if you just bump the throttle and it just goes and sits at like 1100 until you touch the throttle, and then it'll drop down again. And a lot of times that's a really easily rectified thing. I take the idle stabilizer valve off and simply clean it out. And so anyhow, we're going to dive into this thing. I haven't looked at it. I drove it home, parked it, dealt with other things like that, and we're going to plug in VCDS, see what kind of stored codes we have, and go from there. And I'm also thinking it's probably time that I do spark plugs. I run the NGK coppers in this now, and you got to do them a little more often. And so I typically do them like every other oil change. And so I'm thinking, it's probably time to do those as well. So we're going to dive in, do some of that, do a little troubleshooting, and see if we can get to the bottom of this. And it may be something that we have to check back in, because, like I said, it started up and it drove home after the incident and seemed fine. So I don't know if it just disagreed with my food choices, which, frankly, thank you, because it, this car understands. It's the initials were TB, if that gives you any clue. And no, I'm not a normal fan. It was convenient, and I had poor judgment. So perhaps the car was afraid of, Anyhow, here we go. Let's get started. So interestingly, the VCDS found nothing. So despite the blinking light, it didn't actually store a code, which is kind of a first for me. I don't think I've run into that before. But like I said, I have my theories because of my weird idle issue. I'm going to take the idle stabilizer valve off, and I'm going to change the spark plugs because it's just time to do that. If you have a C4, S4, or S6, and you occasionally get that kind of sticky idle where it may creep up and stick or hang on the way down on decel, one possible culprit is your idle stabilizer valve. It sits on the driver's side of the engine right here. This bracket here, you see, has a slot where it slides right onto this metal bracket here. So it's literally two hose clamps and a electrical connector. So I typically undo this clamp first, slide that hose off, unplug that plug, slide this off of the bracket, and then you have some room to wiggle free and get out of that lower hose. From there, we're going to clean this using some brake clean and a couple fingers. It's very, very simple. So let me grab some brake clean here. So I'm just gonna shoot some brake clean in this end. Keep your eyes away from that so it doesn't come flying back at you. Creep a decent amount in here. And I'm holding my thumb over the other port here, and I'm going to stick my fingers over both. Make sure you get a good seal. And we're going to work this around. Whoop. The old good seal part didn't work out so well. Work this around, and then I'm going to dump it out and see what it looks like. It's not bad there, but then I'm going to actually, so there's a little kind of you can kind of see that wheel in there. So that actually turns, and it'll open this valve that you see in there. Well, let me see if I can find a flat blade here to actually do this. It's a little hard to do, but yeah, there it is. On camera, you can see how I can rotate that. So now I'm gonna actually spin that with a screwdriver and then clean out this end. I'm gonna spray in there and get that cleaned out. And we're basically gonna do this until our brake clean comes out perfectly clean. It's very, very simple. Okay, so here I've got the screwdriver in there. I've got the little piston thing rotated. You can kind of see into there. It's open. So I'm going to shoot brake clean in there. I'm going to then plug the holes again. And this is all going in the same chamber, but what I'm going to do is as I spray in here, I'm going to slowly let that turn back around and clean things up a little bit more. Okay. Take that out. And once again, put it in, hold your fingers over, give it a good shake, and dump it out. And with that, it is clean. Doesn't seem to bind at all. I'm gonna let this air out good. I'll sometimes use a can of compressed air and just blow this out a little bit. But we're gonna do that. We'll put it back in the car. And that is how you clean your idle stabilizer valve. It's very, very simple. And there you go. That is one of the easiest things to do on these cars. And I know those of you that have these cars for a long time are sitting here like, okay, this is very elementary, and I get it, it is. But it's for those of you that are new to these cars and may not, you know, be up to speed on everything yet. So that's one common issue if you're having kind of idle hunting or sticking issues. Really quick and easy to start there and see. Now, they can actually fail electrically as well. In fact, this car, it's not super common, but I've had it happen once. This car did fail electrically on the ISV, so this is actually a new one that I put in, but not super common. Usually 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, cleaning it takes care of that issue if it is indeed related to the ISV. So anyhow, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.